I'm pour drink.
Yeah, same. Pour me one too, Captain. What are we drinking tonight, Captain?
Well, one of us has to pour, one of us has to explain.
You do both.
I can't.
I'm just kidding. This is the
You think I'm some kind of genius to multitask like that?
the Adictivo Anejo, right? Nice. This is a solid one. I'm excited. This is the one that's got the little. There's alcohol in the top of it.
I don't know why, but it looks.
I think it's like for a shot.
That's kind of what I would assume, but yeah.
But how do you get it out? It's got a little nipple on it, I guess.
You can pull it out. Yeah, I guess it's probably to be able to measure, I guess. But like, I don't know. Maybe this is like extra special stuff up in here.
Oh. But yeah, like you like don't have it on all the way, and you're like, here, I can measure this, and you just like dump the whole thing out, like a cap falls off.
That was a little hefty, but
Maybe we'll just have one.
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Not after you report.
Not like we got ice.
True.
We need an ice machine here. Except this would be the only thing it'd be used for is this.
Yeah.
Which would be funny.
I feel like, yeah, no, that's what this is.
Ice machines are sneakily expensive too. Have you ever looked at those? Like a countertop ice machine?
Just a countertop?
Dude, they can be like $200.
Jeez.
Yeah.
How much for one like a nice one that would be like
built into the counter kind of thing?
Built into the counter.
Yeah,
that'd
that's
be super cool.
That's a fun. I'm curious. Let's do. I'm gonna Google it, dude.
Dude, a little kitchenette here would be nice.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
a little kitchenette. Wouldn't that be? Oh, how cute! A little kitchenette. We're gonna go Amazon prices too. As like
baseline.
Yeah. So it's probably cheaper than if we went to like Home Depot or something.
Right.
Ice Maker.
Ice make who?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. A countertop ice maker that makes 40 pounds of ice, which is a good amount of ice, but it's not like crazy. $299. I want like ice maker built in. Wow. A lot. 700, 800, 1,000.
Jeez.
Yeah, dude.
Just to freeze some water?
Yeah.
I can do that.
How you do that? With your body? It's incredible.
That's a good question.
This is nuts.
I can unfreeze water pretty good.
I got to be able to do the other thing too, right? If I can do one way, I can do the other way. Well, hello. Welcome to Ice Maker Podcast, where we talk all things ice makers, and none of us know how to make ice because we don't have any.
Curious how much of that Ryan will keep. But
probably all of it. Because Ryan will be like, these guys are stupid, and I'm going to make them know they're stupid by not editing it out.
Yeah, today was an interesting day. It was a new day. It was a lot different. A lot of things that have been in the works for a while, kind of coming to fruition.
Yeah.
And
we've been talking about this moment for a long time.
Yeah. And dude, super exciting. Man, I'm sure we'll dive all into this, but dude, the cool thing is like, dude, there's a lot of changes. Four different people here moving into different positions.
Yeah.
And it's something that is a big change, but will also, I think, cascade into just multiple other equally as big of changes.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. I think it's so. First and foremost, we pulled out some nice tequila because Thomas had his first day as the GM of Triad, all locations.
Yeah.
We got 3. We're not over a dozen yet.
Yeah.
Yet. But big day, man. And
what happens when we have a dozen? Do we have like regional manager and then a general manager, the double general?
GGM?
The GGM?
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have something, I guess.
We'll give we'll add the second G when we get there.
Yeah. You earned that second G, boy.
Dude, I think this will kind of go along with the whole theme of the podcast. This is kind of one interesting thing that I am learning to be somewhat true in a lot of different scenarios where we talked about this moment, and we'll dive into all the different changes that we make and everything we got coming up, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
But we talk about this moment of you getting to step into a position of general manager, and we talk with all of our employees about, potentially moving into bigger positions, and we've got big hopes, big dreams for absolutely everybody here. And I know that's been a big one for you, man. So you kind of, like we do with all employees, we do, you and I together get to kind of talk about, how cool that will be and like what that'll look like.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had expectations in your head of what this day would look like or what this period of time would look like. But for me, it was very much something that I thought would be a moment of we made it. We finally got to the point where we're comfortable and, financially, and there's enough work for Thomas to take on. And it's this like big grand moment. And for me, the difference in the reality of this moment is the fact that we were waiting for a couple of things as far as like company growth to happen to be able to do that, which are on the cusp of happening. But it got to the point where myself and Alyssa were very, very, very overrun, which obviously we're doing a lot of the back end stuff, and we've got some other help on the back end and even from people in stores. But we got to the point where it was like, man, we don't honestly know if we can financially support all of this. And again, this is day one. But if we keep trying to hold off until the perfect moment or the right moment, we don't know if we'll make it there. Yeah. Like just me physically, honestly.
Well, it's like you kind of get to a really interesting crossroads that I think happens, and from this position, and not for me specifically, but I think for a position like this in general, where it's like, you get like a chicken or the egg situation. Maybe that's not the right analogy, but it's like the like we want to grow so we can have a GM, but it's also like there's an argument that like you need a GM to grow. You know what I mean? Because it's like you need these things. This is a conversation that you and I had where it was like a lot of the things on your plate got restricted, and not because of a skill or your skill or like inability. It's more of like, I think I put it when we were talking about it as just giving these things room to breathe. And like when, you're having to run from one location to another location, drop off this, do this, do that, do this. It's like, there's just no room. There's no time. There's no let it breathe, let it grow, let it change. Because you just can't even sit and think about it. It's like, is it broken? Nope. Okay, keep moving. You know what I mean? And is it broken? Kind of. Well, we don't really have time right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I think you do kind of hit an interesting crossroads, and not that, we know much, but it's like, I do think you hit these crossroads sometimes in companies and just in business in general, where it's like, you almost have to take that leap of faith at times of like, and you have to have, the right stuff going on, the right people, and I feel honored to that, that you guys think that's me. But I think like having that, somebody who's going to take it seriously and somebody who's going to make sure that, it's worth the change and it's worth the things, and it pays off in the end. Because, again, I think there's just, there's a million little things that can be helped with. And when everybody's trying to do everything they're meant to be doing, it's like when people in store are taking customers and working on their second priority stuff and then working on third priority stuff, it's like, dude, I spent an hour today in Norman just literally with a set of tools, like just fixing stuff.
Right.
That it's like,
and it's a door too, which like legitimately could have been caused because it wasn't closing all the way. It could have, I know I was there yesterday and it wasn't, because it wasn't closing all the way. It wasn't dinging for every customer, which like that could end up causing major problems.
Right. And so it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, we don't have a tool set in Norman that is
Right.
like capable of working on this, or like, you know, the guys might not understand like what
Yeah.
needs to be done. And like those automatic door closer things are pretty like decently complex. Like it's not just like a very cut and dry thing. Like there's a lot of stuff you got to adjust and do. And I mean, I was up on a step stool working on that thing for literally an hour today. But it's like that, or just random stuff that just like, hey, like let's just like keep the maintenance up on this. But it's like when you were going, it's like you've got to get in there, drop the stuff off, check in with Preston at the time, and then be gone and go to the next store. You know what I mean? Or be coming from another store and like get back in time for whatever. And it's like there's just, you know, I always put it this way, and it's not. I know you don't take it as an insult, but it's like you kind of get to a point where you just have your blinders on because like you just have to.
Dude, yeah, if you fall behind, if things start to pop up and you start to fall behind, it just cascades into this.
Right.
I'm 2 hours behind now, and that's
Right.
like, and we've got, you know, either podcast or things to do in the evening, or I got to get
Right.
home to like Alyssa and Riley, and it's just, yeah, dude, it's if you don't keep your blinders on, you will 100% fall behind.
Right. And so it's like creating an opportunity where like we can have somebody in that position not have blinders because then they can sit and focus on those things. Like I had all day today in Norman to like be working on customer service training, fixing like doing whatever needed to be done, plus like checking in, like doing all this kind of just see how everybody's doing. Hey, how you feel? Mike, our new guy's down there and he's doing great, but I got to sit and talk with him for a while. Hey, how you
Right.
liking things? Like you know, you're in your kind of second week now, like out of training, how's everything going? And it's like those kind of things. It's like it's not that you weren't doing them, but it's like you don't always have the time to be doing them.
Bite up a little bit. No, that's legitimately the big reason that pushed me over the edge of we just need to do this. We need to shift some things around. And again, like you're not the only one that we shift around, and the only change that happened. And definitely it's kind of crazy to think about, like it's such a big change and something that's so anticipated that is going to be potentially such a small thing on the grander scale with it, even with just in the next 12 months, man.
Right.
Maybe even just next 6 months, man. But, yeah, that was the big thing that kind of pushed me over the edge was where you talk about, you know, do you need a GM, or do you grow to support a GM, or do you need a GM to grow in the first place?
Right.
And for me, that's where, you know, I was working myself into the wall. That legitimately was the last 2-3 months was, I'm not gonna lie, dude, that was probably the hardest period of my life.
Yeah.
Like tougher than a lot of the early years of business. Not to get too much on a tangent, it makes me fucking tear up thinking about, like, I didn't fucking leave anything on the table, man.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I didn't miss a single thing that I was supposed to do.
Right.
As far as keeping the company running, I didn't miss a single workout. I didn't miss when it was my turn to give
yeah,
attention
dude.
to Riley. I didn't miss a single moment. Like I'm getting through that period of time being like, I fucking did it, man.
Right.
So like, again, I'm getting emotional about it, because like that was fucking,
Yeah.
it was shitty, dude.
Right.
But
The point is like in part of I think what you're saying too is like and how sustainable could that have been?
yeah, it's I don't want to find out.
Yeah, right.
But the big thing was, I think we started having opportunities come down the pipes of other things that were potentially going to be put on my plate, and things that like could push us forward. And it's like I am already like fucking nose in the dirt, like
Yeah, right.
head like in the ground, like I'm like no fucking sleep, like getting it, like, dude, I can't tell you how many times I fell asleep like with my phone or my laptop on my lap.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's, you know, we start, and again, I my answer for a lot of people that I would ask how I was doing through that period of time was like, man, I'm not gonna lie, I'm busy, but it's all good stuff. Like
Right.
it's we're keeping things running. The funny thing is to come out of this, or like be at the end of that and feel like we didn't really make a lot of change, but like now we're implementing a lot of change.
Right.
But man, that was the big thing, was I felt like there were opportunities for us to grow and improve that we wouldn't be able to see out unless we implemented these things. So that was, implementing, a GM and moving a handful of people around can definitely relieve some pressure. But if it's simply just relieving pressure and what I'm doing right now doesn't seem to be making a difference in our overall growth and our sales for the company, then it's like, well, man, we're just spending more, but like not going to see a difference. That was the thing that sold it for me was okay, there are other things coming down the pipes that could make a big difference for us and push and propel us forward and could support that change. So we kind of had a fuck it moment and like, dude, let's do it. I think a big thing was dude, being able to put you in a position where it started to become more and more apparent, man, that it's like, I'm just not able to give the attention to the stores and the managers like I should be, man. I'm not able to give them the support that they need. It's something that they definitely deserve and this company needs. And putting you in that, dude, it's good. Dude, give me a cheers really quick.
Holy shit, this is good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, they do an extra añejo as well. It's
so desserty. Dude, it's so good.
Dude, it almost doesn't even taste like tequila on the extra añejo.
Dude, this doesn't taste like tequila.
Right, dude.
It tastes like molasses.
For real, dude. It's the extra añejo is even more than
I remember. Man. I've had some of the extra añejo with you. Wow. I'm going to Mexico in 2 weeks. Might have to find me some.
I think there was a while where you couldn't get it anywhere other than Mexico. Yeah, I mean, 50% of that was legitimately like giving you things that like dude, you're doing things that I wasn't doing before, man. Like we're building an entire plan. We have a lot of a plan already for you to be working with managers and the stores and to be constantly working on customer service because that's such a big part for us. But because we're not running on commission because we want to take the salesy element out of it, there's a lot of work that has to be put in to make sure that. Because when you have an employee like just, John Doe, you put him in the store and say, you don't run on commission, you're just hourly and you make some profit sharing. It's very easy for that John Doe to just stand behind the counter and clerk people. And that's a big thing we talk about is like, guys, don't become a cashier.
Right.
You didn't interview and take this job to be a cashier. I don't think anybody here wants to do that.
Yeah, right.
So, but we do have to supply them with tools to be able to properly help out customers and genuinely get them give them the knowledge and get them the help that they're hoping to get and that people expect when they come in to try it. Right. So that's 50% of it. Another 50% of it is passing along a lot of my responsibilities. Like you took transfers today, man, and I was able.
I got promoted to delivery boy.
Which was a title that was held by me before.
I know. I'm the second official delivery boy.
But being able to free up some of my time to be able to see out some other opportunities, some other things that are kind of coming down the pipes and be able to focus on those things and do it at a time where I'm hopefully a little less sleep deprived and make smarter decisions, more efficient decisions. Right. So, but yeah, it's. Dude, I'm sitting here at a point right now. I'm sorry, I know I'm rambling, but
go for it.
It's first day. This was supposed to be my easy day. It was the furthest thing from it. I've got so much more work to do after this.
but imagine trying to do this and transfers and everything today.
Exactly, dude. Yeah, I wouldn't have made it. Today would have been rough. Something would have had to go. But and part of it is just, transitioning you and everybody else into new roles. But
that'll get easier with time and trust and all those things that kind of come along with it.
But since we've really taken the step to implement this entire plan, man, there's been so many other things that have fallen into place. I think because like again, this is the first day and there's already things falling into place. I think because of this and man, I think it was. One, it's good timing on everything that we're ready to take on all of that. But I think it's also forcing us to because we're taking on more in payroll, because we're making these changes and we don't know exactly, we don't have this 10-step plan for how this is going to work out. It's making us be very proactive about everything. Like a good example is working to cut expenses. So it's something that any company needs to do frequently, and sometimes you go through periods of where you really gotta cut expenses, and it's something we haven't done like in a major way since probably 2019, and it's something that we definitely should do and be proactive about it before we put ourselves in a bad spot. And it's cool that I feel like this was the final push of like, all right, we got to do this. We've needed to do it for a while, and I've come up with. I'm going to talk about this at manager meeting and regular meeting, everything soon. But I've got a whole bunch of different things that we could cut. It's like, dude, like I think we could legitimately cut like $36,000 a month in sales, or not in sales, in expenses.
Yeah, right.
And it was like, dude, I wouldn't have done that if we wouldn't have made those changes. So
well, and that's kind of the thing too, is it's like you kind of hit this like interesting crossroads where it's like you want for a position, maybe a new position, especially like this, where it's like you want to give enough. But you also want to you don't want to give somebody 100% workload, right? Because if you give them 100% workload, they can't be creative on finding new things to work on. And so it's like, I think we've had this good balance of like, hey, we've got plenty to do. Don't get me wrong, right? Like we've got plenty to do. But I think it's given you and me just enough breathing room to like be creative as well. Like implement some new stuff, work on some things, change some things, whatever. Again, like if you'd have just handed me your whole workload and then I went into no sleep, horse blinder mode, like what's the point? You know what I mean?
You wouldn't be able to implement the customer service stuff that you're working on.
Exactly.
So we wouldn't be able to make it would be a lateral move. We wouldn't be able to implement anything new or any improvements.
Right. Like you have to have this like ability to have some freedom to kind of like figure out what needs to be improved on, and then the time to do that. And the same thing for you is it's like this gives you opportunities to just be working on stuff that the company needs to be doing, like the stuff that I know happened today, or like you're talking about cutting expenses, like all that kind of stuff. It's like again, like it would just be a lateral move. If I was just doing everything you were, then it's like I don't even have time to change it if it needs to be changed. And not everything obviously does, but it's like there's plenty of things that I've already thought of and have added to my to-do list that aren't part of my responsibilities. But it's like because we're in this like find a need, like fill it kind of mode. It's like, oh, there's plenty of stuff for me to be doing that will not distract or take away my focus from my main goal. It's like I can have my main goal, cultivate that, be working on that consistently, plus all of these other things. But it's like, again, if it were filled me all the way to the top, then it's kind of like, I can do as much as I can on top of it, but it's like there's a limit at some point.
Dude, it's kind of a like, I mean, we're sitting here talking about it, and it's legitimately, man, this might be a better situation to be in than if we were like, oh yeah, we're totally financially comfortable to make all these moves, and like we can do that and relieve some pressure, and everybody gets to be happy. And it's just like, no, like guys, like we're gonna make some big changes, and like we got to make sure they're worth it. It's I think help maybe put everybody in a mindset of like, all right, fuck, like let's. It should make for a transition where everybody's like, how I need to be as efficient as possible, man. And
take it to the next level.
Yeah.
It's like getting a new warehouse and filling it to the roof.
Yeah.
What the fuck's the point? Like, like it's this, like here, like how quickly did we looked at this as like, when we moved into this warehouse, we looked at it as like, oh, this is going to be good for us for a long time. Like we're not going to fill this for forever. I don't know if you look back there, but like we've got some options of like next level things to be doing. But at the end of the day, it's like we filled this thing up way faster than we ever expected to.
Dude, we had that's one of just like 100 things going on right now. There was a conversation earlier today of purchasing a straddle stacker, which is like a walkable forklift, and shelving, which will be happening soon. Right,
exactly. So, and that's the thing is, it's like, how long has this warehouse been here, or how long have we had it?
A little over a year.
A little over a year. Did you think in your wildest dreams that we'd be needing to get shelving and a straddle daddy or whatever those things?
I'm never calling it by the real name ever again. Dude.
Like in a year, if you told me we needed a straddle daddy, I would have been like, okay, this warehouse is freaking huge. What are you talking? And but that's kind of the point, is it's like, I think the same thing translates to like the employee side of thing, is it's like, hey, here's a 75% full or 80 or not, whatever that looks like. But it's like, here's an almost full thing, but here's also like some freedom to be able to like improve, make things better, just kind of whatever.
Grow into it kind of
deal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, man, I think that's going to be a big thing for me as well, man, is like just having some free time to be able to just think about things. That's
Amen.
honestly a big thing that like I've realized more recently is when there's certain things on my to-do list, you can't just sit and work through them, man. Like
Right.
sometimes you have to think about them, and it's like, dude, you can do other things while you're doing that.
Right.
I think that's why I've started to really enjoy drive time.
Oh yeah.
It's just time in the car where I'm not capable of working on anything
Right.
until I get a Tesla.
Yeah.
But having time to just kind of think through things, of like not being in such a rush to like knock this out. It's like, hey, just think through it. I make a lot of decisions in the shower.
For real. But again, like I think that's to the point of, it's like you're finding cracks to fill, as opposed to like, I can work on this right now. You know what I mean? I
Right.
can do this. I can focus on this, and this
Right.
be my main focus right now, and it not have to be split in 19 different directions.
Yeah.
And again, like the point is that like me having breathing room means you have breathing room.
Mhm.
And that means that like you have the ability to grow into those things that we need to grow into, or whatever that looks like. Because again, I know we have more coming down the pipe, and it's like, okay, cool. Let's be prepared. Let's have enough time to have all this stuff kind of ready. Because it's like, again, it's cool now for me because there's a lot of things that I can be working on, and you know me, I love customers and I love being in the store, and so I have the unique opportunity of kind of getting to be in the store, interact with customers, still be around, not just stuck in the warehouse, which. Well, I think I'd go crazy. I think I'd go crazy if I was just stuck in the warehouse. But it's one of those where I'm like, tomorrow I've got a planned call with a guy who is the general manager of a large supplement store chain that is literally doing the same position that I am. I know somebody you've talked to recently, and a good friend of ours. And it's like, dude, I have like, hey man, I got a 30-minute drive, you know, like, you want to chat? And he's like, hell yeah, dude, like, let's talk. And so those kind of things are like, if I was sitting in the store having to take dings, that's not realistic. I can't do that. And it's like, you do find this like ability to like focus on stuff that like I didn't necessarily have before. And that's invaluable whenever it comes to.
Dude, that was so, Preston was talking about that. So that's another person that we've kind of transitioned over, who got to spend the whole day at the warehouse with us.
Yeah.
Now he's
We shoot away a very large spider earlier, him and I.
good
A
job.
big old boy, size of a ham sandwich, dude. It's a big old dude.
But well, yeah, glad to hear you guys are making good use of your time.
Hey.
Shooting away them spiders.
Dude, it was a freaking.
Ain't nobody want no spiders with their protein.
Tell you what, man.
But he actually obviously got to spend the whole day at the warehouse, kind of similar to you, of like, he's kind of helping out with certain responsibilities, and he's been given certain responsibilities that allow him to work on the truly important stuff that we've given him. So for like you do transfers because you're going to be driving to these stores. So it makes sense to like tack that responsibility on for you. Where Preston, it does he is a type of person, I think it's been a lot more time at a warehouse. And his responsibilities are a lot of just working with our manufacturing. He's working, obviously he's our head formulator. We gave him the new title. I don't know if it sounds as cool or not, but product director of All Defined Nutrition, because I feel like that encompasses a lot of his role. And so his hours have been removed from the store, and he's just doing a lot of back end and warehouse help.
Right.
It's a cool part about it is we have a warehouse that doesn't have a lot of systems in place. It's very much of just like, it's always been smart enough people to kind of figure out just to get stuff done without having to have like a checklist for it, where Preston is also very much in that boat, but because we are moving him into more of a defined role, no pun intended, it is a big part of his role is don't just pack the transfers, don't just check in orders, set a system, create a system, and put a system in place that when the day comes where we get to remove you from those responsibilities, that we could stick like a high school kid in that position, and he would be able to figure it out. He'd have guidelines. He'd have a checklist that he could
Right.
follow, and we wouldn't have to constantly
Creating a
oversee it.
standard operating procedure for this stuff.
Right. So, man, I can't remember where I was going with that, but, that's where it was. Talking with Preston today, because it was his first day at
Yeah.
the warehouse, first week where he's not working close to 40 hours in the store.
Right.
And I asked him, because we both spent most of the day here, and was like, hey, how's your first day, man? And he was like, and one of the big things that he said was, it was nice to be able to work without the interruption of dings.
Right.
I think we're all in the same boat, man. Love taking customers. It is something that I genuinely want more time to be able to do in the future. I genuinely miss it. But when you have a workload that's turns into a mountain, it gets stressful trying to do both. So, and I think his workload was getting bigger and bigger. So it's, dude, going from that contrast of like being able to work without being interrupted is so nice, man.
Mhm.
It's so appreciated.
Right. Well, I mean, just like today, while I was working on it's just sometimes little things too, like just working on maintenance stuff. It's just like, dude, I got to focus on the door, and it was like we had customers come in and out while I was doing it, and I'm just, hey, how's it going? I'm your first line of greeting because I'm standing right here on a freaking step stool. But it's like I can fully focus on this and like get this fixed. You know what I mean? And so, because again, it's something that needed to get fixed, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it stays fixed. But it's like I've got some more drastic measures I can do if we need to, but it's like, this is step one, and it's like, okay, cool, this is stuff that I could just focus on, and that's something small, but it's a good analogy of just like, it's hard to fix a door when people are walking through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to step off the step ladder and close the door and help them out
Right.
and go back to it. Do you lose focus too, man?
Right.
It's like
You lose your
train of
spot.
thought.
Yeah.
Mhm. Dude, one big thing that I feel like this gives us a really big opportunity to really set some standards, set some precedents too, because up until today, it has been Alyssa working on the back end too. She was another person that we brought on, and I think we were naive at the point when we brought Alyssa on, because she just went straight to the back end to handle all our inventory, vendors, ordering, all of that.
Right.
And we were naive enough at the point to assume we could afford it, and then found out quickly that like we weren't 100% sure that we could. But in the long run, at that point, it put us in a bad spot financially, and we did have to cut expenses, and we made it through. And we're sitting here today of we wouldn't have been able to scale the way we would have. And get to the point that we are today if we didn't have Alyssa, though. Like, we could have done it smarter, and that's why this round we're cutting expenses before we get into a bad spot.
Right.
But it's prior to today, it was Alyssa, Ryan, and myself, working on the back end, and I know for Ryan and myself, it was kind of a slow transition and a little back and forth. And we moved into the warehouse kind of in a similar fashion of, it wasn't this grand, we're totally comfortable to take this on financially. And, and we had this, this falls perfectly within our 10-year plan. And it was just like, crap, I think we need to pull the trigger on this. Can we afford it? I think so.
Yeah.
It's, we can plan, we can project things as much as we can, but like, you never know. So, but it was very much of like, and we weren't really sure. We didn't have like a schedule for like, who's going to be here. Cause like, we didn't even think about getting deliveries, and it was like, well, who's going to take transfers? I guess that still falls on Kevin. Like, and it was just very much of this, kind of this, everybody just kind of jumped into it, but getting to the point where we got to plan at least a little bit ahead of moving you and Preston more to the back end, we get to implement things like, let's implement a dress code, man. I've been coming to work in gym shorts and a t-shirt for like a year and a half now.
Right.
It's like, dude, like, I don't know, man. I'm 32. I'd probably like to come to work in khakis and a polo.
Yeah, look nice.
Implementing things like having Preston help implement, like we implemented shifts for who's watching the warehouse. All you got to do is open the back door and make sure to let the UPS guy in.
Yeah, right.
But Preston's working on implementing like a cleaning schedule for it. But it's a moment in time where we really get to make a transition. I think because there's so many changes all at once, it's a nice period of time to be able to implement some improvements that might have had a little bit of friction in the past where and I think it'll continue to be, we have to continue to, at least for the time being, like really like be mindful of that, I think. And like you were talking about, going back to having the time to be able to be creative and think through things. It just reminds me of these meetings that Steve Jobs would have. I didn't know him personally, but
Stevie J.
Reading his book, one of the cool things hearing about in meetings was they would do these big conferences and they would kick it off with what are all the projects we're working on right now, and they'd list a dozen different big things that they're working on, and he's like, all right, let's get rid of 9 of these and focus on 3.
Right.
And so there was always this big fight right at the beginning of people not wanting to stop working on projects, but it's, hey, if we're working on 12 different things,
right, we're
not going to be able to really focus on the ones that'll make a difference. What are the 3 that are going to make the difference for us? So it's the old adage, the 20 or 80% of your results come from 20% of your work.
Right.
So finding that 80% of the work that you are doing that isn't really doing much.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and even just back to like the dress code thing, like I think it's a level of just taking it serious, and it's not to say that you haven't been, because you definitely obviously have been, but it's like there is something about like getting up and putting on something that you're like, you feel like you're going to work. You know what I mean? It's like you get up, you get ready, you're putting the things on, and
I was pumped today.
Yeah, and I think for me, because I obviously always wear my polo at work, but it's like even stepping into my customer service training stuff before becoming GM that we just kind of recently done, like that was a big one for me too, of like, if I'm going to come and talk about improving the store and things looking nice in the store and, whatever this looks like, like how you're talking to somebody else's like presence, like your presence to a customer, and I'm sitting there in like a backwards hat and a t-shirt and shorts, it's like it's gonna be hard to take me seriously. But if I come in hair done, like trimmed up nice, tucked in polo into some khakis and some nice shoes, like there's a level of like dude, I can't tell you how many times that I've like had my polo tucked in like that. Recently, like today, I probably had 3 different people comment on it. Like
I complimented you as I was pulling up the parking lot.
Yeah, right. But it's like how many? Right, so 4. But like how many times? Like, damn, dude, like you look professional as fuck, And it's like cool because that's like what we want to be show. Like that's how we want. That's the example that we want to be setting, And it's cool because I think those things have a really suspicious way of like catching on,
dude. I've seen other employees already do the gray polo tucked into the khakis, man. I think it's a good look, man. And it's not anything, we've never required that. Like it's just pants and a polo, man.
But again, it's like when people walk in, like we have a standard of like what the store looks like. We have a standard of what our employees look like. All those kind of things is like, but again, it's like it's hard for me to expect a standard that I'm not meeting.
Yeah. And it's so quick kudos to you too, man, because it's actually you that kind of inspired this change, and kudos to everybody that's been on board with this as well. Because I know I went to you and Preston. Well, first and foremost, you were doing just a few customer service hours outside of the store. We'd given you just a little bit of breathing room to be able to travel to the other stores, and the first time I saw you in another store doing customer service training, you were wearing khakis, tucked in polo, and it looked really nice. And it was like, I never even communicated to you what the dress code should be when you're doing that. But like, man, I really appreciate you thinking through that because like, I think you are being taken way more seriously by the employees, man. Like you mentioned customers, man, but I think that's a huge part of it. Is like, dude, when you show up and the employees are there, like, I think everybody's going to, 1, take you more seriously, but 2, like, I feel like it just gives more of a feeling of like, all right, we're a legit company.
Yeah.
Like a guy from corporate.
Yeah.
You know, is coming to visit and he's wearing khakis and a polo, looks professional. Like,
Right.
it's, man, I think that really goes along with right now of, you know, a lot of the meetings we've been having with the employees is, you know, talking about all this stuff that we've got planned and all the things that we're working on implementing and all the things that, you know, should be coming to fruition soon is, you know, if we're here at the warehouse and they see us starting to show up in, you know, full dress code, I feel like it validates what we're saying a little bit more. It's like, hey guys, like we're serious about everything. And it's weird that like it's something as simple as a polo and khakis that can have an effect on that. But man, I feel like it just goes along with the whole mantra right now because like we could sit here and talk all day about all the things we want to do, but like whether everybody else believes this or not, like that's a different story.
Right. There's like this transition from being like a small, like a couple of guys started a supplement store into being like a fucking supplement company.
Right.
Like we've got multiple locations.
Yeah.
We've got a brand that's in a bunch of different other stores. Like we are growing, we are adding locations regularly. That turns from like, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with either, but it's like, it turns from that like, my bro owns a supplement store to be like, oh fuck. Like this is like, okay, cool. And I don't think that, you know, it's like the end all be all, but it is something that, again, like you said, I think just people in general just take you more seriously. And so when, especially for my position where I'm like communicating and trying to talk to people about how to improve, like I don't feel personally right doing that if like I'm not, you know, if I show up in, you know, like again.
So, and I think a lot of where mine kind of came from was like initially was when I was working 40 hours in the store and then we had a couple employees and it was getting busier. So what I would do is I would hang out in the back of the store for the remaining 80 hours and do my back end work that I was going to do either way. And it was like, okay, like I could either do this at home or I could do it here and catch second dings kind of deal.
Right.
It's like, dude, I've been wearing a polo for 40 hours this week. Let me just change into some gym shorts and a t-shirt. I'm heading to the gym soon.
Right.
I'll work from here. And that just carried on. I never implemented anything else. And I'll be honest, man, I kind of enjoyed having the time of like, I'm running a business and I get to wear fucking flip flops.
I took my polo off as soon as we got here. I cracked a beer and took my polo off.
But I don't know. There was like a little bit of a sense of pride behind of like I can come to work in a
for sure
and in like a t-shirt and flip flops and you know, nobody knows how much, you know, my companies are doing this year, like this year kind of deal. It not that I'm trying to get overly braggy about it. And I think anybody that knows me knows that I wouldn't be that person.
I think everybody likes the idea of coming to work like lazy clothes, and then you do it for a while and you're like, I kind of want to look nice.
I'm over it, man. And I feel like it was genuinely having an effect on big or small. It was at least having some sort of effect on overall morale or overall seriousness of the company, man. So it's and again, kudos to everybody else. So because like I was doing that, like there was no expectation for Ryan. There's and you know with Preston moving to the back end, it's like he could have had preconceived thoughts on cool, like I get to wear gym shorts to work now. And so I came to you and Preston first and was like, hey guys, like I think this is a good opportunity to implement a dress code. Thomas is already doing it. What if the three of us just start doing this? And Preston was like, do I get one of those sweet Define polos? I was like, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah. So, right. He looks snazzy as hell today in his black polo.
Yeah, he got to come to work in his Define polo today. And so I took it to Ryan as well. And was like, hey, dude, like just a heads up, like there's been no expectations previously. This is something that like Thomas Preston and I are doing. Like we're setting an expectation for ourselves. I just want to let you know if you wanted to join in, but you don't have to kind of deal. Cause like, dude, I don't want to just drop, all of a sudden you got to start doing this kind of deal. And I'm glad I took that route because he's like, can I wear a Define polo to Define photo shoots and like wear that to work when I'm doing like Define stuff? I'm like, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And he was like, hell yeah, dude. And he was down for it. It wasn't one of those, it didn't have to go about it in a way of like, hey guys, we got to do this. It's like, hey, like we've got an opportunity to like really come to work looking fucking snazzy.
Right.
And everybody was excited for it. So.
Well, and it's funny because like, I think like there's a level of setting that standard for yourself or just like the discipline of it of like, I think a lot of times when we start talking about discipline, you start thinking about discipline, it's like trying to like pretend like you don't have urges, or it's not easy to fall into. Like one of the big things that you and I talked about was like me doing my back end work, that I'm going to focus on doing that at stores. Because if I get into the habit of doing it at home, I'm going to start working from home more than I probably should be, right? Or, you know, and it's not to say that there's not a problem, like there's a problem with me every once in a while or whatever, but I'm like, if I set the standard for myself now, right now at the beginning, like I'm going to look nice, I'm going to do it from here, I'm going to do it this way, then it's like, if it even wavers a little bit, it's okay. Where it's like, if I'm like, okay, cool, today I'm going to do, it's a laptop day from home, Kevin. You know, it's like, well, that starts turning into 2 laptop days from home, you know, or reasons to give myself excuses to do it, where it's like, no, like I'm just going to set myself a high standard immediately and like do a really good job of trying to meet that all the time.
Dude, it's a lot easier to implement more changes when some changes are already happening, especially at a time where like people are excited, where you and Preston are getting to move into roles that you both have been striving for a long time. It's easy to implement things and just make it part of the excitement and set standards at this point in time. It's easy and I do that for myself too, man. It's not trickery by any means, man. It's like, dude, like it's a big thing for me, man. When we are going through big changes, I typically start to set my alarm about 30 minutes earlier. So where I used to wake up at about 8 a.m. I think when we opened up the Norman store, I moved that to 7:30. When we opened up the Yukon store, I moved that to 7. Now we're sitting here making some changes and moving you to GM and a handful of people around, and a whole bunch of crazy stuff's happening. I can talk about some of it, not all of it, but now it's like we're in this point of like excitement, and it's like I'm more excited to get up and start work during the day. So and I want to get a jump start because I have so much that when my alarm goes off at 6:30 instead of 7 now, I'm a whole lot more likely. Hopefully Alyssa doesn't listen to this because but I think she's actually moved hers from 7:30 to 7 recently. But because I'm more excited, it's like when my alarm goes off at 6:30, it's just like, fuck yeah, let's get after it, man.
Right. Well, it's like, you know, we're creatures of comfort, like humans are, and so it's like if I set myself a low bar now, if I don't meet it all the time, then it's bad. Then we're really not worth it. But if I set my bar really, really high and I at least always come pretty fucking close to it, it's like then we're always moving in the right direction. Like we're still doing what we're supposed to be doing, and it's like I think that's a big thing. Like I know myself, like if it turned into me never wearing a polo, I'd be never wearing a polo. You know, and if I gave myself the excuse of not wearing one, then I'm never wearing one.
Dude, it's I legitimately, I think there were a couple of different points in time over the last year and a half or so where probably over the last like 4 or 5 years, honestly, that I've 2 or 3 times have tried to say, you know what, like it would be nice to come to work wearing khakis and a polo. It'd be nice to walk through the parking lot, you know, already like that's just what you do at a job, you know? And I was trying to implement it at times where I was just thinking about it and there wasn't a whole lot going on. But again, it's finding the opportunity of like, all right, like everybody's excited. Let's implement something that's going to take a little bit of extra effort, but we're excited, so it will be easier to accomplish. We'll be more excited to implement it.
The motivation's there.
And I've got 3 other guys doing it with me that have that same level like expectation. Dude, if I walk in tomorrow wearing shorts and t-shirt again, it'll be instantly everybody like, oh, well, this isn't serious anymore. Like we can do what we want.
Well, and it's so funny because you start, and not necessarily this is why we do it or anything, but I do think it has this positive effect of, you told a story of like when we were at Supplement Superstores and how at the time the regional manager, Mike Taylor, showed up one day, didn't make a big deal about it, was just hanging out, whatever. And while he was just talking and hanging out, like started spraying the windows and wiping them down. And like he's just having a conversation, and it's like he's not making a big deal out of it. He's not like trying to make a show of it. He's just like he's just wiping the windows down. And then like your first thought is like, oh fuck. Like he's cleaning the windows. Man, I wonder if there's anything else that can be done around here. You know what I mean? Like it's just those little things that it's like doing something like that just kind of brings improvement to the forefront of your mind. If it's like, you know, if I show up you show up in khakis and a polo and you look really nice and somebody's polo's all wrinkled up and their shorts have holes in them or whatever, like, not to say that this is necessarily the motivation, but it does give that like, oh, man, maybe I should like spray some de-wrinkler stuff on my polo real quick. You know what I mean? Like those kind of things of like, how do I improve as well?
Right. Yeah. If I show up delivering the transfer, which I did for a while, in shorts and a t-shirt and a lot of times Birkenstocks, and someone comes in comes into their shift wearing Birkenstocks, it's like, well, I wouldn't do that with customers. Like, but it's hard to tell an employee like, hey, like we're kind of in different roles. I can do this, but you can't do it. It's just like, no, man. Like if I just don't do that, like if I come in wearing tennis shoes, khakis, and polo, I can expect you to do the same thing. Right.
Well, and I think like there's also a point too of like my position where it's like I still take customers, even through like it's important for me to take customers and be like actively showing or like using them as teaching moments or whatever. Where it's like, well, now if I'm not wearing the attire I'm supposed to be wearing and I'm taking a customer, well, now it's like that drops the moment for the customer too.
That was always a weird thing for me too, man. It was, and there's part of it of like, man, I can't get caught up taking customers because I gotta get to the next store. I gotta get to the next thing. I've got urgent emails that I gotta answer.
No room to breathe.
Right. And it was part of it. But like there was times where I did have time to do that, but I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt and a customer walks in and I'm like, I don't know, like kind of awkwardly explaining. Like, hey, like I'm not on shift, but I'm like happy to help kind of deal. Or I just do it and don't say anything. And then it's like, I'm wondering if they're thinking, why is this guy like taking, like, why is he just wearing gym shorts right now?
Yeah, is that what this place is?
Right, exactly. And it's like, and I don't want that. And maybe it's like, maybe it's not weird for them. Maybe it's like, oh, that's just what it is. But like their standard or what their expectation of what we are is quite a bit lower. And I don't want that, which is why I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah,
so,
right. Yeah. Yeah. So what all can we talk about?
We can talk about the two other people.
Nice. Let's give them some shouts.
We can, because obviously, it's funny. We're getting to the point now where I think we're a big enough company where one person moves and a handful of other people move around them. So obviously, you and Preston were managing two of the stores, and you are now on the back end. So we can't expect you to. You're not there as often, and we can't expect you to be able to manage from afar or even just handle those responsibilities that you used to have on top of everything that we've given to both of you. I've given you, at this point now, I've given you both a laundry list. So,
oh yeah. I keep seeing updates to that. What's going on with it?
I keep thinking of new things. Yeah. I've got you and I are checking in tomorrow on a couple of things. I've got some cool projects that I think you'll be excited about. So, some little things, some things that you're already doing, just, communicating more than anything, but we've also got, there's a couple projects that I'm like, oh yeah, he'll be down for this. So,
heck yeah, dude.
But obviously, with you guys stepping into new roles, we have to replace you as the managers. And Christian Ballard has taken over as manager of the Norman store. So
super solid. Big
congrats to him. I feel like I'm just going to redo what I told the rest of the group, but like, I don't know, it's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Christian was very much of one of those where, man, we've been giving more and more defined responsibilities to Preston with manufacturing, with started with formulating, then got to manufacturing, working on labels, and now we've given him so much more now that he is on the back end that he was doing a lot of that on top of working and managing the Norman store.
Right.
He was definitely pretty overloaded. So we kept telling him, hey, pass this along to your guys as much as possible. And his go-to guy was Christian, man. Yep. Very, very dependable. And he was doing a lot of manager responsibilities prior to him being in that manager role.
Right.
So when it came time of, hey, we need someone to fill the spot, it's pretty easy to look at the guy and say that's doing 50% of the manager work already, if not more, and say, yeah, that guy's the manager.
Do the rest of it.
Right.
Right.
So I think that's definitely, I'm sure everybody's heard that before of like, to move on, to get promoted, you a lot of times have to be able to take on the responsibilities of the position that you want, not just just handle the responsibilities that you have,
Right.
and then be okay with taking the new ones on when you get promoted. So you get promoted by taking those on, and then the title change comes, then the pay raise comes, and Christian very much took that route, which is super cool. So great example of that.
Yeah, growing within a store and
and with you moving out of the Yukon store, we are super excited to announce Noah Phillips as the manager of the Yukon store. He is someone that has deserved a leadership position for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry it took this long to get to the point where we had one ready for him.
Right.
Man, he is just he won a Rookie of the Year award his first year. He won the Anchor Award. For those that aren't familiar, that's an award in track, or it's an anchor in track. I know it was Anthony that kind of came up with the name for this award. So wish we had him to explain it a little bit more. But just the anchor is truly an anchor in the company. He won that last year. He's been on with us for a little over 2 years now. Mm-hmm. And for anybody that's managed people before, he is someone that, again, he has been on here for a little over 2 years now, and has yet to cause a single problem.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not sure he's human, because I cause at least 6 problems every day.
Oh yeah.
Every employee, every person causes problems. It's just part of it. You become okay with it. You learn how to manage it, work with it. It's not personal. It's not, you learn how to not be angry about it. I don't know how that dude hasn't caused a problem yet.
No.
I'm excited, but I'm also a little suspicious.
Yeah. What's going on here?
How have you not caused a problem?
What's going on?
But for anybody that's managed anyone before, like, that is like a dream person to work with.
Gold star.
And it's funny because I've actually made fun of him before for this, which sounds like a weird thing, where especially when he won the award last year, he was kind of talking about it, and I was just like, you know what, like, we actually realized something, that I don't think you're actually that great of an employee. You just don't cause any problems. Mm-hmm. But like, you're not that great.
Yeah.
You're just not bad.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you just like haven't caused any issue. What's going on here?
Right, exactly. So like, you're very middle of the road, but like, you never veer from that. So, but like,
dude, he's a very solid employee.
Yeah,
it's super exciting to be able to reward him with this position, because it's so well deserved.
Yeah, no, it's and again, I'm just giving him shit or making fun of him, but yeah, he's very smart, very intuitive, a lot of common sense. Yeah. I was moving past the making fun of him.
Sorry. He's ugly. Oh, sorry. We were done.
But yeah, no, super excited to see him take on a new role, new responsibilities, man. I'm sure he's going to take it seriously, and he's going to kill the position, man. A cool part, dude, when you become manager of a location, that location very much becomes, in every employee that's at every location should think that store is theirs. Yeah. When you become the manager, you earn a new level of responsibility and a new level of ability to be able to direct that store into the right way, and can legitimately have an effect on how the store's performance does. Like how many customers we have coming in, and that's the cool part about our pay structures. It's profit sharing. Is if the store grows, your paycheck grows. Right. Not just the managers, but all the employees. Like, the whole team wins if the store wins.
Amen.
So
yeah, so super exciting, man. I'm really, like, as excited as I am for myself. I'm obviously very excited for that, but I think for Christian and Noah, I think anytime we can just provide more opportunities, because again, and this is something I said at meeting, was big reason why we're able to do this is because we're confident in the rest of the staff. Mm-hmm. We're confident in the people to step up into the positions that they were in, of being super reliable and continuing to be super reliable, and like making that next stride forward of, backfilling back to where we were. And, I've gotten to talk to a couple of them and just kind of say like, hey man, like, obviously at meeting, but like even more individually too, of like, the big reason we're comfortable doing this is because of how good you're doing. Like, I feel comfortable moving them there because you're doing so good that I trust you to step up. And it's like, that's a super exciting thing.
Day one as an employee, you start building trust to be moved into those types of positions.
Amen, man.
Yeah.
That's such a huge thing. And so, super cool, man. It's great. It's super surreal because this is something that we talked about for so long, and then it just happened.
Yeah.
Like, kind of out of nowhere, where it just kind of was like, oh shit, like, we're doing this. You know what I mean? How long? I mean, you and I have talked about me potentially moving into a position like this for a long time.
Yeah.
As, you know, something that, you know, I thought would be a good use of my talents, and you thought would be too. And it started to make more and more sense. And then it was kind of like, okay, you know, well, maybe when and then it was like, oh, hey, by the way, we're doing it next week. So like, okay.
Dude, I'm not the one that came up with this analogy, but it's why businesses grow like bamboo. It's you plant and you plant bamboo and you water it day after day for years, and it doesn't grow an inch.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, within a matter of a few days, it grows like 12 feet.
Yeah.
My stats are wrong, and I've probably brought this up on the podcast before, but
Big bamboo guy here.
I'm a big bamboo guy. I like the analogy a lot because like that's very much, dude, it's not like we've just been like hanging out and taking it easy the past couple of years. It's not like since we moved into the warehouse and opened Yukon, it's not like we've just been just like, oh, when we feel like growing more or putting a little extra effort in, we'll do some things. It's like, dude, we've been busting our fucking ass, man. And it's like, we're sitting here like last week to the public, we didn't really have anything to show for it. But all of a sudden it's, we move 2 people on, and that means 2 other people move on, and it's going to cascade. Like I said, man, I think this is legitimately just the tip of the iceberg for the rest of the year and heading into next year as well, man. I think it's just going to propel into just so much more, man. There's some more we could talk about, but I can't talk about everything.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah.
It's man, I think it's just an exciting moment for the company, because I think when you have these we've talked about this a bunch, but when you have these like fork in the road, we stay conservative and hope that we keep kind of chugging along, or do we like, fuck it, we ball? You know what I mean? And it's like, sometimes, I know that can be scary, and I know that can seem like, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking just about business in general. And I kind of talked about us and how we went through, like you went through, but like the, like, fuck it, if we're gonna fail, let's do it quick.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And the person I was talking to was like, oh, that's like the last mindset you want to have. And I'm like, I don't know if that's always true, because like
well, who is it coming from? Could you at least explain
they are a business owner.
Really?
But I can't say who, but I can tell you after. But I'm like, yeah, no, I know, but like, I think there is like this person, I think, also didn't quite like connect the analogy of like, because I know their story too, where it was like, we're going to put $50,000 on this credit card because we have to keep the doors open, kind of thing. And it's like, that's a fuck it, we ball move. You know what I mean? Like, it's and that can look like different things for different people.
Dude, I think that's a big part of it, is like, dude, to explain, sit here and explain I don't even know if we're being able to get the point across on what we're doing now, and we're sitting here in depth, like trying to explain all our decisions. But like, I feel like on surface level, it can look like a really risky move without much upside, but you spend so much time in the business and thinking about it and planning it and weighing out the options.
We don't want to be here in the exact same spot in 6 years.
Yeah. And it's not just this. There is a lot of calculation to it, where we sit here and we talk about like, we don't know how it's going to turn out, because we don't. You never do, but it is as calculated as it can be, man. And and we've made moves like this before, and it has paid off well for us. So, it's one of those that due to I remember hearing about this when we were bringing Alyssa on. It gave me a lot of confidence that when we were, adding her payroll that didn't exist before, so she's not replacing anybody, it's totally new payroll.
Right.
Is I remember hearing about, I think it was Tony Robbins that hired an assistant before he knew he could afford an assistant.
Right.
It worked out for Tony Robbins.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know if that was a good move or not, but he talks about it like it was a good move.
Right.
So
I think there's like this time where it's like, in a business, I think you come into crossroads where it's like, you can either just coast, or like you can step on the gas. And like sometimes stepping on the gas can be scary, but if you calculate all the things you can calculate, you make the decision. It's not like every day we're like, throw money at this, throw money.
Right.
It's like we have these big decisions where we come to this crossroads where it's like, hey, we know that we can be doing this and we're doing 75% of that. What gets us there? And sometimes that is go for it,
Right.
you know?
Right. And a lot of times too, I think a big thing to be said too is like we've put ourselves into tight spots before and it forces us to find a way out and we make improvements and we end up in a better spot in the long run, man.
Right.
So
For sure.
So man, there was something else I was gonna say, but I can't remember. But yeah, overall it's something that
Why? What are you doing?
it is something that there is still a certain level of it is like we're putting ourselves in a more uncomfortable spot than we were just a few months ago.
Right.
And I think there is still something to be said for that of you know, when we made big decisions, when like Chad and Vincent, the original partners, were leaving, we were at a spot where it's like, dude, we're covering the bills, but nobody's getting paid. Like, dude, fuck it, dude. Who cares if this thing fucking goes under?
Yeah,
man?
right.
We are sitting in a spot now where it's paying a lot of people's bills, and it's and we're doing pretty well, man. So it is scary to think about losing. Like,
scarier than when it was like, you know, we were slowly bleeding to death, and it's like we're not bleeding to death
for sure. But at the same time, man, it's like, dude, we're not where we want to be. And we are a lot smarter when we made those initial decisions. Now we're making different and new decisions now, but there are a lot of parallels, a lot of similarities. And again, we're going into a spot of like, we know how to head into this time of spending more money. And we know we need to be proactive about cutting other expenses right now because we didn't the last time that we did it. Yeah. And we had to backtrack a little bit and it put us in a tight spot. So,
well, what's interesting too, is you also have this like death by stagnation that I think comes from a different perspective than you see. And one of the big ones is no longer having opportunities for employees. Like, I think that is a huge one. Like, sure, like if we are sitting in this, here's the thing. If we're making the exact same amount of money that we're making right now, company's doing exactly the same as we are right now, we've got the same amount of stores, whatever, in 6 years, how many employees leave?
A lot of them.
A lot of it.
That's a big thing here.
Right. It's opportunity. And if the opportunity seems like it's run out, see you later. And then you start looking at all these people you could have had in really strong positions, really benefiting the company. And you're like, oh shit. Yeah. Well, we're stagnant because we no longer have John, who could be fucking doing something really big and important for us right now. And we'd be a better company for it.
Right. Dude, that I talk about, it is frustrating a lot of times to and this is going to be a roundabout thing, but it's frustrating being the one that's making a lot of like these detailed back end decisions of, can we afford to do this? Can we afford to do that? And it's fucking scary. Yeah. And on paper, we probably shouldn't have made a lot of the decisions that we've made, but so. And then you talk with the staff and, you know, everybody gets really anxious about wanting to grow and do the next thing because they're you know, on the front lines, kind of a little bit stuck there. And it's I've been there, we've all been there. And it's hard to see, especially when you're not in the day-to-day of working on those back end decisions and seeing how much it has an effect on our finances and our overall structure and how everything works, to get anxious about wanting to move forward because they're here for opportunities. They want to grow the company, but they also want opportunities themselves. And that's what we promise here. We don't guarantee promotions. We promise opportunities. If you can help grow the company and you can be you can be genuinely someone that is helping to grow the company, we can offer you opportunities. We're a promote from within. We're not a hire from without type of company. So we don't pay a lot, you know, when you first start out. We can pay you a little bit more as you move on. But the main goal here is that we want to grow a massive company and provide crazy opportunities for the people that help us build this from the ground up.
But and we all take sacrifices for that. So
it's one of those things that for them, I can understand getting really anxious. From my perspective, it's frustrating because I'm sitting here like, guys, like we have to be smart about our decisions. We have to be patient about things. And there are genuinely some things that just take a while. There's some things out of our control. But but I do understand their perspective, man, because we've been in that at supplement superstores, and
Amen.
it's wanting to go open up our own store, and hey, we're not quite ready to franchise, and okay, screw it, then we'll just go do our own
And
thing.
hearing how they have big plans for us,
Right?
which is probably true.
It is probably true, and
Right.
that's the same thing for us, man. It's like, dude, it's just, but we're young 20-year-olds, and it's like we don't realize how long shit takes.
Yep.
So the nice thing about it, though, the positive mindset, or the optimistic mindset I'm keeping about it, is like, dude, it's good to have that pressure, because that is a lot of what brought this pressure, or brought this change on that we are implementing now, is that pressure from employees of like, hey, like, man, I feel like I'm ready for the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to tell them, like, be patient. There's a whole lot more you need to learn. But a lot of times, man, you won't learn those new things until you get to move into that new role,
Amen.
man. It's like, dude, if you're ready, like, there's going to be some things you have to learn once you step into that.
Yep.
So I'm looking at it as a positive thing of we were waiting for, I'm just going to say X, Y, and Z to happen before we moved you to
Right.
more of a GM position, before we moved Preston more onto the back end. And because we had this pressure from employees, it was like, well, like, man, how would we make that happen now? And it was like, okay, well, we could do this, this, and this. And it was like, well, that would stress us financially, but I've been in spots before where I've had to go to you guys and say, hey guys, we're going to get into a tight spot financially with doing this, but how do you guys feel about making sure we're good about A, B, and C,
Right.
to make sure we get through this time and come out the other side ahead and in a better position. And it's always gone over super well. Like, everybody's always super gung ho. It's like, hey, if it means growth, man, we fucking got this,
Right.
man. It's hard to grind and not see growth, but if there's legitimate results for the effort that we're putting in, that's where I'm excited to come to work and bust my ass and get through this, this tougher period of time. And so once there was that plan kind of came into place of I realized, like, man, I can just communicate with everybody on, like,
Right.
our financial standing and like what this decision kind of means, and be confident that everybody will be on the same page. And it's cool to be in the first day of that and everybody genuinely be on the same page,
Right.
at least as far as I can tell. And it's given me a lot of confidence that we did make the right move. So that pressure from the employees in the first place, where it can be frustrating, is genuinely, I do think, a good thing, man.
I think so too. I think it just again, it just reemphasizes the, there's a reason we haven't done it until now.
Right.
But it's also like, it is proof that, like, hey, we mean it. Like, there is opportunities, and like,
Right.
if you could be patient, changes can happen, and changes can happen quick. The bamboo analogy is perfect, of like, we tend to it, and then all of a sudden,
Right.
shitload of bamboo. And it's the same kind of idea. It's like, sometimes stuff just takes a while and then it blasts off.
The best way to explain, I think, the position that we're in right now is like, dude, we're getting to watch a bamboo plant grow like crazy today. But we've been tending to like 6 other bamboo plants.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they all got planted around the same time.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what else we could talk about on, or what we could safely talk about at this point in time.
I think we've got quite a bit that we've gone over. I think, hey, 4 new employee movements is a pretty big deal.
That's the one that's all come to fruition, and we got to.
Okay, I mean,
Get to be more public about now.
how long have we been talking about that?
Yeah, dude, there was a lot of planning, and I think that's part of my day still being pretty busy is transitioning everybody into and everything. I just think that's why your day's been busy. I think that's why Preston's been crazy busy, is helping everybody transition into the roles that they're in. And
That's going to be a lot.
There'll be a transition period. So I think we're going to get to the point where we're comfortable, and we're going to hit a whole nother round.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's the thing I think the thing that's cool, man, is everything that we've ever talked about with the right amount of patience and everything, but all these things have happened. You know what I mean? Like, I remember us sitting, I think it was me, you, and Anthony. Maybe Preston was there at the time too. We're standing in the back because we had a meeting at Quail. And we're standing in the back of Quail, and we're looking at like the headquarters of the businesses that are back behind Quail, and us talking about having like a warehouse.
Here we are.
You were in a warehouse. And it's like I remember us sitting talking in nauseum about the potential for, what I could be doing with my day-to-day stuff if I were to become like general manager, you know what I mean? And obviously that came with a lot of like, I got to be doing what I'm supposed to be doing, all that kind of stuff. Store's got to be doing what it's supposed to be doing. But it's like, if we get there, it's like, I think it could look like this. And I was coming with ideas and you had ideas and we were like meshing on the same page. And it's like, okay, this is actually like really starting to make sense. Like, and now we just like got to get there, And so it's cool, man. Cause I think today is another round of those like memories being filled with like actuality of it. Like, hey, like we're actually here. Like we're actually like, I am sitting here today. I have a business card that says general manager on it. Like, it's crazy. Has not hit me yet. You know what I mean? But it's a super cool thing to, I think obviously I have a lot of trust in you and in the company and stuff. And it's, but again, these things can come to fruition. Like if we're patient, we're doing the things that we're supposed to be doing. It's all there. We just got to do it. You know what I mean?
Dude, it is wild to think about, man. I feel like we just hit the point where I was able to move to the back end. Like that really was not actually that long ago, man. I think that was not even 2 years ago.
Right.
And that was like a crazy moment. And it's like, dude, we're sitting here of like, dude, we got to get somebody else. We got to get multiple people, other people to the back end to be able to take away some other responsibilities to make sure that we're handling everything correctly. Like, dude, like we've got 2, 3, 4, 5 people that are primarily on the back end.
Crazy.
Now.
Crazy.
It's wild, dude.
Crazy.
There's times where we didn't even have 5 employees total.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you got to sit back and take and realize where you're at sometimes.
And
man.
I think that's kind of the point too, though. In like, it's easy for us to see that and think that, but that's where I think like to give at least some acknowledgement to the employees is like, dude, they haven't been, you know, and that's no fault of their own. Like, dude, half of them were in frickin' elementary school when that was going on, but it's like it's one of those where I can understand, I always talk about it in the interviews of like people almost have the like disadvantage of coming into a triad that they're applying to and there being other customers. Like they just have this like, not that they have this like, oh, triad, it just happens, but it's like that could exist within their head of like the people just come into the store. Like, I don't know, I just take the customers. And it's like, no, like you have to earn the customers.
Dude,
like,
and that was, I don't know about you, but that was my mentality at Supplement Superstores of like, yeah, this is a dope store. Like people shop here. Like
1000%.
Why would they not?
1000%. I was just tending to the garden that was already planted.
Right. Yeah. You didn't see it from ground level. You didn't get to see those days where
all of the seeds that did not grow into shit.
Where not a single customer walked in the door for 12 hours. 12 hours, dude.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Dude, but for real though, I mean like
it's hard I'm sure that's hard to imagine for people that have been brought on since within the last like 4 or 5 years. I'm sure that's hard to imagine.
1000% it is. You know what I mean? And like that's the thing is it's like it is funny at times because I do talk to people about like expectations of certain things and they're like it is funny because things will get brought up of like, well, yeah, but when this was going on, like this was done like this and this was done like that. And I'm like, yeah, but listen up. They were no customers then. Like you didn't have to take 100 people in a day.
Right.
Like it's a whole lot easier to everything being stocked and fronted and faced absolutely perfectly at all hours of the day, all day, 24/7, 365 when you saw 7 people. Like, it was a lot easier than it is right now.
I could color code the bars.
Amen. Like, bro, sometimes it's like, I'll be trying to put bars on a shelf for an entire day because 60 people came in.
Dude, when you came back after delivering transfers, it's like, dude, I've been looking at those dirty blender bottles for like 5 hours now, thinking I need to do those, and I just have not had the chance to be like, that's my priority right now.
Right, exactly.
I gotta really pee.
Yeah,
really.
I'm actually like, I gotta pee too.
Do we want to keep going?
I don't know. I feel like we've covered quite a bit. I feel like this has been a pretty good one. I feel like we got out kind of what we need to. I know we both got some stuff to do.
Yeah.
This is still almost an hour and a half. Like,
jeez.
Yeah, that went by quick.
I feel like I was wondering if we were over an hour. That's crazy.
Yeah, we're at like an hour 20. I feel good. How do you guys feel? Let us know in the comments. No, I feel it's good. The Eagles game just kicked off too, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I think no, dude. I think we're just going to keep having temptations to like keep talking about more stuff that's happening. Where I feel like leaving this at just like the 4 promotions is being like more than cool enough.
Yeah, dude. We'll give one more to leave off. We don't have to dive into it. Bring in a new brand. Everybody's been asking for it.
Ooh.
And a couple of people that are associated with that brand will be out we'll be able to announce 2 days after this podcast releases.
Nice.
That was another part of today, is figuring that all out. But we'll leave that one. That is, again, just one of many things going on, man. I think we'll have a lot of podcasts coming up in the future that we get to talk about. We finally get to talk about all these things that we don't get to talk about today that we've been working on for
Maybe we can have them on the podcast.
time. Maybe. Do you? Okay, that's a good idea. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
But no, I feel like, dude, with everything going on right now, I feel like I got to talk about everything that we're allowed to talk about and that I wanted to talk about today. So
we'll kind of wrap things up too, man. I think one of the big things, especially after today, is like, man, I hope you know that like I really appreciate like the trust you put in me to be in this position, because I know it's definitely not easy to one, financially with all the promotions and everything going on, but like, dude, I do just genuinely appreciate that you trust me to be in this position to oversee Triad right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is crazy to say, but like oversee the stores and the managers and all that kind of stuff. Like, man, I hope you know I don't take it for granted. And like, I feel super honored and blessed to be a part of this. And I know this is part of the big dream stuff that you and I have talked about for a long time. But man, I'm feeling really blessed to be able to do this. I'm super excited. I'm like you kind of in the same spot as you. I'm like 60% excited, 40% anxious. Like, but I think that's a good, healthy balance. And I think, dude, I just want you to know that like it means a lot to me to be in this position. And I hope you know how seriously I'm taking it. And man, I'm just super excited. I'm super excited for the future and kind of what this means. I'm excited for our new managers. I'm excited for Preston, and I'm excited for the company and all the other employees and just kind of like everything that this means. Cause I think this is big steps that, like you said, I think like really shoot off and grow into something bigger. And again, I know for us to be able to do this, like you have to have enough trust in us and the people that you are promoting and me specifically to feel comfortable to do that. And just want you to know I appreciate it a ton, man.
Well, dude, I hope you know it doesn't even come from a place of trust. It comes from a place of there are so many things that are getting passed to you and so many things that are getting added to your plate that we weren't doing before that you will legitimately do better than me. It's which I guess is trust, but at the same time, man, it's like, dude, I'm fucking pumped, man. It's like, dude, someone like there's so many things here that I think you'll do so well and will provide so many opportunities for the company and everybody else here, man, that I'm pumped to see you step into that position, man. And it's one of those of man, you're one of those people that we can trust to, hey man, we got to put you in a new position. We've got our structure is legitimately a note on my phone. Yeah. And I trust you to still do that well, man. Yep. It's like you don't have a lot of guidelines. You don't have a lot of a to-do list. There's not a whole lot of there's next to no accountability for it. And again, going back to stepping in the store and seeing you in khakis with a tucked in polo was just, as far as trust for me, put it over the top, man. Yeah. It was like, dude, he's doing things that like I didn't even think about, man. Like he's taking this more seriously than I ever could have hoped, and it makes me excited, man. I'm pumped for I think there's again a lot of potential for you in this position, man. So, and again, you're doing things that if I had all the time in the world, man, you'd still do better.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah. Well, I love you, buddy.
Love you too, man.
This is cool.
Yeah, this is super cool.
What episode are we on?
53. I'm pretty sure.
We've done 53 3 times in a row.
That would be funny. Just legitimately number them based off of what I remember. Yeah. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong.
Like episode 47, 49, 53, 53, 53, 53, 52. Well, here's supposedly episode 53. Appreciate you guys. It was a little quick for us. It's a quick little banger. Yeah. But super solid, man. I think it's been a good day. day. It's been cool to be able to celebrate this day like this. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool. Yeah, to end it with a podcast, man.
That's
Could
right.
talk about it. Yeah, a reason to sit down and celebrate a little bit.
Hell yeah.
Take a
dude.
step back. Appreciate you letting me ramble. Appreciate you
Amen.
letting me kind of. There's been a lot of thoughts up in this noggin for a while.
Up in that noodle.
Yeah, and again, excited to have some more podcasts where we get to continuously talk about more cool stuff the rest of this year and heading into next year.
We got some exciting stuff coming.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
All right, guys.
Appreciate you listening
Peace.
and watching. Whatever.
Whatever you're doing.
Just